Okay, so I wanted to recap everything in the neck area that we were talking about. Okay, so where you were tender is kind of this entire area over here. So taking you back to anatomy days, let's just look at your cervical vertebra and then let's talk about discs and then nerves and nerve referral patterns, and then we'll just tie it all in together and it should hopefully kind of look just like yourself. So if we are looking at the actual nerves, when I add them all on, obviously you have a bunch, so I'm going to take one layer off for now so it's not as crazy. So they come out side of the neck, as you know. So when I'm having you do things like those alligators to kind of rotate, I'm having you open up some of these spaces, take a little bit of pressure off. And then we'll talk about where these go in a second, but the other thing I wanted to show you was some of the points that I was poking on you. Actually, let's keep that on. So when I was back here on the back of your shoulder blade, I was on your infraspinatus muscle, but I was really kind of trying to affect this nerve here. So that is that suprascapular nerve that I was telling you about. It actually does sensory innervation to the glenohumeral joint and over to your AC joint. So where you kind of feel some of that collarbone funkiness, even though you have had history of actual damage over there, having sensations in the shoulder and in the collarbone is not super weird when all of this is irritable because it innervates the same place. The other nerve I wanted you to be aware of is your accessory nerve. So when I was up there on your upper trap, like right in here, and I'll put the muscles on in a second, that one was pretty tender on you, but it goes, it stems all the way up from kind of behind the ear and comes out base of the skull and goes all the way down the whole medial border of the scapula. So when you're in those positions where you're bent forward, but your upper cervical has to be kind of tipped into extension, it can get all of this a little bit angry. Then that's when you start getting this kind of burning coming down by your shoulder blade and by that muscle. Then let's go a little farther. We'll just stick with some of these nerve points. So when I came down to your forearm, so part of your radial nerve, actually I wanted to get at your deep radial nerve, but I don't know if they'll let me exactly poke it for now. So we'll go with this. So, but what it does is it comes off of C5 through 8, where I think you're irritated also. And with that quantitative analysis score, the more distally you are irritated in a major nerve root, and the major ones in the neck are, C5, 6, 7, the more globally sensitized things are. So this is the one that I was checking in your arm. And then if we keep going a little farther down, when we get into your web space, well, why not? Why not? Let me get the one that I really want in here. All right. Pretend like that's going to your superficial radial, but it is just an extension. It still stems off of that lower cervical plexus and comes down. So wanted to give you an overview of the nerves just so you're like visualizing where I was going the other day. The other main nerve that I wanted you to be aware of is your dorsal scapular nerve. And again, you don't have to remember any of these. So it's kind of similar to accessory nerve, but this is the one that it actually innervates your levator scapula, and I'll show you that in a second. That has that really just tight, achy knot, like top corner of your shoulder blade. So if we add on muscles to all of this, it'll start to kind of come together, and you're like, oh, those are places I make people rub my shoulders when I'm irritated, muscle-wise. Okay, so this levator scapula. Most people that carry any kind of tension or stress up in their shoulder blades will have a big knot that sits right there on the top corner. Goes all the way up to the side of your neck. So when I was looking at ways that you're rotating, you have much less rotation to the left. So that actually tells me that your upper trap is involved a little bit more than levator, actually, because levator restricts you rotating right. So that's kind of why I'm looking at kind of a global, we're looking at range of motion, tenderness points, things like that. So when I add in your upper trap, spinal accessory nerve, living right in here. And then since it attaches over here, when you rotate left, that upper trap tend to be what limits you. Now let's take all of this off and let's just take a quick peek at discs. You already know all of these things, that when your head is forward all day, puts more pressure on the disc, gives you a little bit more likelihood of having irritation through the posterior side of things. So let's get pretty zoomed in and just take a peek. Okay, so discs in here. Most common discs to get irritated in the neck are C6, 7, and C5, 6. Okay, so keep in mind where you get your tender points, things like that. In the neck, it's actually named by the nerve root above it, and everything else is going to be different. So that is T1, this is C7, and this is that 8th cervical nerve. So we obviously don't have 8 vertebrae, but all of these things, they come way out. So when you have to be forward frequently through in the day, and that disc gets a little bit of pressure coming towards the back, if it touches any of these nerve roots, you're going to get a resulting irritation in the muscle that they innervate. Okay, so we just went over most of that. So let's add on skin. Let's look at dermatomes. Take your way back again. I know you had to know these at some point. So when we're taking a look at where everything goes, so this whole kind of top of the shoulder, getting down shoulder blade, most of this whole area is kind of that C5, 6, C6, 7 comes down a little farther also. This is just true sensory referral patterns, but as far as pain referral patterns, they tend to be this top corner of the shoulder blade for low cervical. So that is why I'm having you do those extensions to work on addressing this low cervical. A lot of times when we're forward all day, we don't get much good extension in this upper cervical area because we have to be forward all day. And when we are forward all day, we're in almost more of like flexion here. And then we end up kind of tipping the top part of our head up to see things. So when you're doing your cervical extensions, you're actually getting a good bit of extension through this entire area that tends to get stiff. So hopefully that was a nice overview. It kind of takes you back, gives you a little visual of everything we're working on. But for the most part, I want you working on nerve glides and moving up here, and then we will start really hitting strengthening.